Well, is PR just the art of spin, or is it a crucial part of a business's marketing mix? Tracy Lamourie is an award-winning publicist, a Women in Media award winner, and the founder and managing director of her own company. She joins me live now. Thanks for joining us.
Hi there, thank you so much for having me.
Well, tell us firstly about this. How important is PR in an overall business marketing strategy?
It's absolutely important, and it's really a blind spot for entrepreneurs, certainly. And if you think about it, there's not a corporation, major company in the world that doesn't have a PR department or a communications department, which is their publicist. Yet 80% of entrepreneurs just don't really have a perspective of how important it is. And it's about telling your story as opposed to buying an ad. It's about actually sharing your genuine love for what you do and the reason for what you do. And it makes a huge difference.
What do you think the barriers are there? Is it just people want to be more humble and they don't like, selling themselves, or is it because they don't understand how PR works and how to approach the press? What do you think the barriers are?
To a lot of the extent is actually a matter of self-confidence and not seeing themselves as experts, even though they sell what they do and they are experts in their field, whether they're creatives or whether they're entrepreneurs. People actually always see the people that are on TV or the people who are on the award shows as somehow different or elevated from themselves. And it's really a matter of believing that you have something to bring to the table and then being comfortable with sharing your message. And people like the people I work with, they have, whether they're in the healthcare field or whether they're creatives or whether they're small business people, they're all super passionate about what they do, and they legitimately have great messages to share. So it's not about selling a product. It's about people and why they do what they do and telling those stories, essentially.
Well, you're the author of the upcoming book, Get Repped, Build Your Brand with Effective Public and Media Relations. So what are some top tips, I guess, for people looking to better be in this space with public relations?
So we hear about we hear about thought leadership, and it really is these days. There are so many platforms that if you're not using those platforms, whether mainstream media or podcasts or essays, Medium and such, where you can just write and get your perspectives out there, you have to understand that your competitors are, and so they're building those. They're building that third-party credibility that you're not getting. And that means they're siphoning off your customers, potentially siphoning off investors. I had one client tell me that I had literally changed their business in 6 weeks because investors were now taking them more seriously as a result of the media profiles. No spin, no lies. Everything we put out is always genuine. We're very heart-centered. I come from activism, and I learned how to write a press release 20 years ago in my work to help free an innocent man from death row, unpaid work for 20 years. He ultimately was freed in 2017. And it's crazy, right? That's how I learned media messaging. So as successful as my business becomes, it's still going to be always important for us to always be putting good things out into the world. So we're very careful who we take on and what we take on as a result. But in general, everybody, all those passionate entrepreneurs, you have something to share. You do, or you wouldn't be sitting there, you wouldn't be taking people's money for what you do. So realize there are a million media opportunities and take advantage of them just to share that knowledge.
And what about for you navigating the PR space? Because obviously the media landscape has changed so much. It used to be for PR, and I did it for a while myself, and you had the little clippings and that would be your clipping book. But now it's digital. There's so many different social media platforms. There's streaming networks like Ticker. How do you manage PR opportunities for people when it's such an evolving space?
Exactly. In some ways, I mean, it's if you're quick on your feet and you're smart about navigating, there's a million more opportunities than there used to be. So there's a whole world of opportunity now because everything is digital, and a client in Texas or a client in Toronto can be interviewed, easily, even pre-COVID in Australia or wherever. But in COVID, now that we're not traveling and we're not able to go to events and such, what I'm really seeing, because I've done over 180 podcasts myself, just speaking to entrepreneurs since October, when previously I was just, putting my clients on podcasts. But what I've really realized entrepreneurs should really take into account, if they're comfortable speaking, there's a million new podcasts now because everyone's sitting there in front of the screen trying to figure out ways to, navigate themselves. And some of them that are just growing or looking for guests, it's a great way to get out there. It helps your SEO. It helps you build your not only your credibility but your confidence. I'm not talking about hosting them. I'm talking about going and being a guest on them, but also look at things like Help a Reporter Out, which I know Ticker uses sometimes, and Source Bottle, things like that, where
Yeah.
you can actually yeah, go right into these are free websites where you can jump right into PR opportunities on everything from Ticker TV to Reader's Digest to New York Times to Oprah.com, and I've gotten my clients in all of those. So there's a ton of more opportunities. And of course, in the mainstream media, sometimes there's a lot of job loss and everything. So you're forever navigating change in that world as well.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well, it's a busy world. It's a
it's fun.
challenging world that we're in, but I love the hustle, Tracy. I love the vibe. If people want to reach out to you or potentially get their hands on your book, where can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I work anywhere in the English speaking world. People want to hear just, I always say it doesn't matter what you do in the world. You don't have to be a big executive. If you are interested in telling it, yeah, you can reach me at lamouriemedia.com. You can reach me on Facebook at Tracy Lamourie, Lamourie, Instagram, Tracy Lamourie PR Media, LinkedIn. Um, and phone number 1-289-788-5881. And I'm happy to do a little tutorial or a free 20-minute consult, and just to give people an idea of the power of PR, not even just to sell. But I really think, from all my travels and speaking to entrepreneurs, we entrepreneurs need to understand the difference between advertorial and editorial,
Yeah.
and what a newsroom will look for. And that is really the key to opening up a whole lot of opportunities.
Absolutely, Tracy. Well, a pleasure to chat to you this afternoon. Thanks for your time.
You too. Thank you so much.